It's February 10th, 2011. This is The Mix. We got a variety of topics today, going from the NFL to the NBA, the MLB, the NHL, and the NCAA today. We got a mixture of questions. It's going to be an awesome segment. Let's get through as much as we can in the first half of The Mix. We'll start with the NCAA and the game last night. Last night was number 21 North Carolina versus number 5 Duke. Awesome game last night. North Carolina came out and shocked me by taking over the first half and beating Duke, outscoring them 43-29 in the first half. Then Duke came out and surprised me even more by outscoring North Carolina 50-30. Duke won the game 79-73. It was an awesome, amazing game to watch. Duke, great job, came out in the second half, came out with a lot of energy and flow. They showed it. North Carolina, for some reason, got a little sloppy on defense. They were in trouble with offensive and defensive rebounds. But regardless, both teams played a great game. Good for them. Duke came out with a win, and they were the better team last night. Let's go on to a player named Jimmer Fredette. He's an awesome player. Some analysis are questioning his ability to be an NBA player next year. I don't know why. He's going to be an awesome NBA player. Should be even a first-round pick. I don't see why he wouldn't be. Last night, BYU beat Air Force, and Jimmer Fredette got 25 points in the game. That's normal for him. He averages 27.5 points a game. He's leading the NCAA and leading scorer right now. January 11th, BYU went against Utah, and Jimmer Fredette came out with an amazing performance of 47 points. But that's not even his highest game. In December of 2009, BYU was against Arizona, and Jimmer Fredette was against, came up with 49 points. Amazing performances this guy has. I don't see what the problem is. He's going to be a great NBA player. He takes about 18.5 shots a game. He averages. He's shooting 47.6% from the field. He shoots 41% of his three-pointers. He shoots 90% of his free throws. He's averaging about 4.5 assists a game. The only problem is his height. He's 195 pounds, good weight, and 6'2". That might be the only problem that might be with this guy. Might be what other teams are looking at if they're looking for a tall guy instead of a short one. Most players are like 6'8", 6'7", good average heights, and that's the kind of guys you want is big, tall guys. But we've all seen shorter guys come out. Nate Robinson's extremely short, but he's a great NBA player for the Celtics, and Rondo's a little short, but he's still great for the Celtics as well. So I don't see why Jimmer Fredette couldn't be. Let's move on to the NHL. We're all thinking that the Duke-North Carolina game was going to be the game to watch last night. Even I thought. But I was wrong, and so were a couple other analyses out there. The Bruins-Canadiens game was definitely the game to watch last night. The second period fight was awesome. Watching goalies Chris Price for the Canadiens and Tim Thomas for the Bruins was awesome to watch. The goalies came out. There was a large fight between both teams in the second period. It was great to watch that kind of fight. The penalties for each team were off the hook. The Bruins came out at the end of the game with 24 penalties. The Canadiens had 21. Most of them coming from the second period. During that second period fight, there was an overflow in the penalty box. There was 5 of the Bruins in the penalty box and 4 for the Canadiens in it at the same time, which led to a power play for the Canadiens, which led to a score, putting the game at 5-4 at the time. Making me a little bit nervous about the Bruins losing, but they didn't. They came out, they won the game 8-6. It was awesome to watch. There was equipment all over the ice during that fight. There's more equipment on the ice than there was probably players and referees on the ice at the same time. Still great to watch. The amazing statistic for the end of the game was that with all the penalty minutes combined, there was 187 total penalty minutes between both teams. That is an extremely numerous, large number of penalty minutes. I've never watched or seen a game with that many minutes in it. It was a great game to watch. If you missed it, you definitely missed out on one of the coolest, greatest games to watch in the NHL this year. Let's move over to the NFL. Little topic of Carson Palmer. Not too many people care about, but you should. Carson Palmer's a little while ago said he wanted to be traded from the Bengals. If he wasn't, he was going to retire. Some players do this to try to get a bluff for their team to try to get him to be traded. Carson Palmer is serious, though, I believe. He said he's putting up his home in Cincinnati, up for auction, up for sale. He's going to go ahead and sell that. He's going to move. He seems pretty serious about this. So I'm glad that he's actually backing it up and he's just not bluffing. He's not lying. If he's not going to be traded, he's going to go. All right, if he retires, he retires. If he decides to come back, Brett Favre did it. I don't see why Carson Palmer can't do it. The way this affects everyone is that if Carson Palmer isn't the quarterback of the Cincinnati Bengals, who is? Are the Cincinnati Bengals going to go after somebody like Donovan McNabb or Vince Young, or are they going to try and play their cards in the NFL draft? They play it in the draft, that definitely affects other teams. If they decide to take a quarterback, well, then that frees up other players that Cincinnati was possibly going to choose, and that frees up other players for other teams to get in the NFL draft. But let's go back to Vince Young. What if they decide to take him, Donovan McNabb, Kevin Kolb? There's plenty of other quarterbacks out there for Cincinnati to grab. They grab one of those guys. Who would you rather face next year? Carson Palmer, Kevin Kolb, Donovan McNabb, one of those guys. Whoever the Cincinnati Bengals are facing next season, if there is a 2011 NFL season, it could change the game a lot for any team going against Cincinnati next year. So we'll have to wait and see exactly what happens with Cincinnati. But it seems like Carson Palmer probably isn't going to be the quarterback next year. With that, we're going to go over back to the Super Bowl. The 400 people that I've been talking about the past couple of days have been taken care of. I think they've been taken care of properly by the NFL. They should add a couple things I suggested yesterday, but regardless, it seems alright. The 850 that I didn't even know what kind of seats they had or were reseated at, the 850 that did get seats in the NFL, I found out that they were terrible seats. At least most of them were. So these 850 have decided to sue the NFL, Dallas Cowboys, and Jerry Jones. Where I think it's appropriate to sue the NFL because they ran the Super Bowl. I don't think it's alright to sue the Dallas Cowboys. They're an organization. They didn't mean for this to happen. If Jerry Jones had any part in trying to put more seats in the stadium and try to get this thing so he could get more money, okay, sue him too. But really, hopefully all these 850 people are suing for their money back, which they totally deserve, which I honestly thought they probably already got automatically. If you pay tickets to sit somewhere, especially the Super Bowl, like a great event like the Super Bowl, and you don't get to sit in those seats, obviously they deserve their money back even if they got reseated, especially if the seats weren't as good as what they paid for. So, especially with tickets being $600 or $1,200, people should get their money back. The NFL shouldn't even be going to court or having a lawsuit for this. They should just offer these people their money back and get it done. Speaking of the NFL owners, there was a meeting that was supposed to be scheduled for today, and it got canceled with the owners and the NFL Players Union. For some reason, I don't know why, but it was canceled. No one's commented. No one's told anybody anything why it was canceled. They were in a meeting yesterday for 10 hours. Maybe they don't want to sit through another 10 hours of misery. Yesterday, they got nowhere. They're so far apart in negotiations, they didn't get anything resolved yesterday. I don't know why. It's all over $1 billion revenue that the players are supposed to get. They get $10 billion already, the players do, to divvy up between each other. The owners get $1 billion for organizational costs. Not from the $10 billion, they get $1 billion off to the side already from what the revenue brings in. The owners want another additional $1 billion from that $10 billion from the players for more costs. So the players will only get $9 billion. I don't know if the players really have a problem with this, but I don't think they do. What they want is they want to be shown what those owners are going to use the $1 billion for. I see that if there are other costs that the owners need to take care of, the players are going to have no problem with giving them that money. But the owners haven't shown the players what they're going to use the money for. So that's the problem. I don't see why the owners just don't show the players what they're going to use it for. Show it, bring it together, bring it up in a presentation, show the players what you're going to use the money for, and let's get this thing resolved. It's not fair to the fans if this thing doesn't get resolved over $1 billion in revenue with money. Get it done. It's not fair to the NFL fans. Let's get this thing resolved, and everything will be all done and settled. That's going to be the first half of the mix. Get ready to watch the second half. We're going to talk about Major League Baseball a little bit. We're going to definitely talk about the NBA and the game coming up tonight. It's going to be a good one.